Hello everyone, in this video we want to talk about how we can plan and budget our travels. Here we developed an Excel file that you can download it from the diaco.co.uk website, and in this Excel you can easily manage and plan your travels and estimate the budget for your travel as well. When you first time open this Excel file, you may see a yellow ribbon here that needs you to enable the content of the macro actually, because this Excel file is developed based on the macros and VBAs. So you need to enable the content of these macros. So please press the enable content at first, and afterward you are free to use this Excel file. In the first tab, you need to specify the basic information of your travels. In order to plan in more details, you need these basic data. So first you need to define the number of destinations you are visiting in this travel and the people are following you in this travel, including yourself. For example, here this is said it's 5 people in this travel, including me myself. As you can see, this is Armin Kishavarzi and my family. Here Arash, Yaseman and Kamalia and my mom. And so this 5 means that me and others who follow me in this travel. Afterward, you need to specify, you need to name this travel. For example, we want to see the Europe. We say that seeing Europe is our travel name. So these are 3 basic information that you need at first to define in this Excel. For example, this is the previous travel. I entered the data. For example, right now I want to plan a new travel for myself and my friends. For example, we want to go to the Paris, for example, and we want to see Paris and another city, for example, London. We want to visit Paris and London, these 2 cities in our travel. So we actually want to visit 2 cities. We have 2 destinations right now, and the number of people, it's me and 2 of my friends. So we together are 3. And the name of our travel, it can be CEN and FA, for example. You can specify, you do not need to specify the date actually in the travel name, but if you want, you can. So after defining these 3 basic information, just press the create new plan button. Afterward, a table, an empty table actually, is generated for you, and say the first one is the destination and road information. You need to specify your destination information, which means that for Paris, I want to see the first city I want to visit with my friends, and second one is London. So I named, I write these 2 cities, and after I visit to London, I will return to home. So how I want to go to the Paris, for example, I want to go by airplane there, and afterward I want to go to London, but I can say airplane as well too. So if you can see, there are some bunch of methods for traveling. If you want to change them, you can go to the basic data tab. In the first column, these are the methods that I specify here. You can change those, add to them, or make it less, whatever you want. So back to the first tab. Afterward, I want to return home. I can say that I will go home by train, and so these are the methods that I can travel to these cities. After I define these methods, I need to specify how many days I will be on the I will be on the road to going to the Paris. The minimum number that you can add here is one day, and the first day I arrived to the Paris, in this Excel file we assume that you are still on the road. Actually, it's a road day, so we cannot use a half a day, we cannot use the hours. just the one day. In this day, how many days I wanted to stay in Paris? For example, for 3 days we want to stay at Paris and visit the Paris, and we now need to estimate the transportation cost to going to the Paris. So if, for example, at the first I need to get a taxi to the airplane, and then I need to estimate the tickets, airplane tickets, and after that I need to pay a taxi to go to the hotel. Cost of this day, the first day I went to the Paris. So for example, I can sum up them with for example $300. If you use dollars, or if you use, for example, euro or pound, all the payments be based on just one currency. So for example, if you assume you pay dollars, you need to assume to pay dollars in a Paris. The speed of that, it's a euro base, and you need to assume that all payments are based on the dollar in the London. The speed of this is a pound currency. So for example, if you from USA want to go to the Paris and London, and you exchange the dollar into the euro, so actually you are paying as a dollar. Just use your base native currency from your own country. It's a better approach for doing so. And for London, for example, one day we will be at road, and we want to stay on the London for 2 days, and we can assume that we will the transportation costs are $200. And one thing, this is a food and other costs you are on the way. For example, if you want to buy some snacks or something to eat while you are at the airport, and you want to, or you shop something, you can estimate those costs here as well. For example, I will spend $100 each time I'm in the airport, for example. So I can say 150 for London, or zero. And when I came back to the home, it's a 1 day train, for example, and for example 2 day trains, and number of days I'm staying at home is zero, because I will stay until the next travel, so it should be a zero. And the transportation cost, for example, it can be whatever you want. So these are the basic estimation. After you estimate the destination cost, say who travel with you. At the first you need to write down your own name, and after that, for example, I write my brother and my sister. We want to go there together, and the costs that are spent in this travel, it should be divided on the three. For example, I will pay 0.4 of the total cost. It's a rate share actually, and Arash will pay this amount of the cost, and Yaseman will pay exactly the same. For example, if me and my brother want to pay all the costs and our sister will be our guest in this travel, we can just assume that Yaseman will pay zero amount, and all costs will be shared between me and my brother. And so this can be at the 1.5 for each of us. You should remember the summation of all rates should be 1. So if, for example, you have more than 3 peoples, for example, until here, all the summation of this rate should be summed to 1. And there is another place for each person. For example, Armin, Arash, and Yaseman, each of them needs something, bring something, or we have to remember to bring our tickets or something like that. We can write that here. We can write to remember that when we want to plan, we want to go to the travel, to bring something. If it's something important and you do not want to forget that item or something you need to be noted, you can write it here. And after you enter these basic data, you need to go to the next tab, days detail, and press this button, generate days plan. So with this button, let me zoom out to see all the table. Okay, after you press this button, a table will be created based on the summation of all days beyond road and will staying at place. So for example, this travel will be in total, we will be in the travel for 9 days, and Excel asks you when you want to start your travel or your trip. So you need to specify the date. You can actually say no, I do not want to insert the date, and after a time I can come here and say what time I want to go to this travel. But I recommended that you always enter the date. You can actually, before finalizing this plan, you can change these dates as well. So enter the month, for example, in the 2020, next year we want to go. In the first month of 2020, we want to go to the travel together. So I press OK. After that, you can see the dates are inserted automatically here. And now you need to plan what you want to do and what payment you should pay in each days. So for example, at the first day when you are on the road to the Paris, you previously said that you will pay $300 in this day. When I want to return to my home, I say that the cost of going to home is $120, and I will be on the road for 2 days. And in here, when I generate the days plan, I can see for each day Excel calculated $60. And right now, $60, the summation of these 2 days is $120. But when you want to buy the ticket of the train, you need to pay them at the first time. It assumed in each day we paid at $60, but if you want to pay all the cost of your travel in the first day, you can change that to the $120 and remove that or press that to 0. So you are able to do that. And afterward, for example, I'm going to the Paris, and I arrived at the Paris at this day, and I need to pay the hotel. So right now for 3 days, for example, I pay the hotels for 4 days actually here. So I can pay the hotel, for example, each day $100. It can be $400. I pay this $400 to the hotel, for example, at the first day, not each day to paying the hotel, or I will pay the hotel at the end of my visit of the Paris. So I can write that in here in the fourth day of my travel. So the transportation cost is estimated previously, but if you miscalculate that, you can change that here. And entertainment is something you are going to entertain yourself. For example, seeing the museum, buying a ticket of museum, or going to Eiffel Tower or something like that. You need to estimate these costs of entertaining here. For example, going to theater, and for example $100. And shopping cost is something you buy. For example, if you go to buy some clothes, you can write the cost here. You can estimate that, okay, when I go to Paris, I need to buy something for myself, and I can spend $1,000 for buying something, for example. And the foods are the thing that you are eat. For example, I am going to Paris, I have to try the red wine there, so I need to specify that foods here. If you want to, for example, eat the red wine at the first time, you can write that remember to drink the red wine. for example, or go to museum. It's better to write what you want to do in the each day as the priority you have. For example, in the first day, in the first day, we have to go to, at first we have to go to airline, and then go to hotel, and then go to Eiffel Tower. I do not remember the dictation. And for example, these are the things I want to do in the first day. In the second day, I want to go to museum, Louvre Museum, and I want to drink some I said that red wine and famous France coffee, for example. And these are the things I want to do in the second day, so I have to specify that. For example, I do not have any accommodation, I will pay them in the fourth day. And the transportation cost is going to the museum, going to the cafe, going somewhere I want to sum up them. For example, $50. And entertainment, for example, buying the museum tickets, going it's museum tickets, for example, for three of us can be $30. And shopping, I do not want to shop anything, but I wanted to drink red wine, I want to drink coffee, I want to eat my lunch, I want to eat my dinner, and so on. And summing up them can be cost $200, for example. So you have to enter these data for each day and say what you want to do in each of these days. And after you specify your day's plan, you need to go to the summarized plan and finalize the plan. Before the finalizing the plan, you are able to edit whatever you want. But after the finalizing the plan, a unique code will be generated for your travel. So be careful when your plan is really finalized. Come here and finalize your plan. When you finalize your plan, you will see that your travel total estimation is, for example, we estimate that this travel will cost $2,500, and we have to spend $1,870 on the road, and we have to pay $300 for food, $1,000 for shopping, and so on. And also we have to bring, for example, Army Keshavarzi needs to bring $1,275 as well as Arash Keshavarzi. So here we can see how much money each person have to bring with himself. For example, our sister will be guest there, so she do not need to bring any money there, but we two brothers need to bring this amount of money. And in this table we can see how much money each of these destination will be cost us. For example, we have to pay $2,230 in the Paris, $200 in the London, and $120 for returning to our home. And also it says that in when we will arrive at the Paris, the speed of the road time when we arrived at Paris, and when we will depart at Paris and go to the London. So this date will be calculated here. Also we will have a Gantt chart. This Gantt chart will say that in each day where will be and how much money we will spend on that day. So this is a simple Gantt chart that helps you to see how much money in what day and where will we spend. So after that, when you finalize your plan, right now your travel is not started. For example, right now it's the 1st of 2020 and we want to go to the Paris together. So we open this Excel file and we see, for example, in the basic information what items we have to bring, and what is our customization days detail, and what is our summarized plan. Review this plan, and afterward we start our travel. When we start our travel, in this form we can actually say what we are spending right now. So when we come here, we can say the travel ID that is generated is written here. You can change that actually, but it's automatically based on the last plan you are planning to travel, and the date you want to start your travel as well. So the status and the destination are updated as well, and there are two buttons here. It's the autofill status and autofill date. So if you use these button, these data will be updated in each day. For example, right now is the 1st of 2020. I enter my cost information, what I paid in the first day, and after that, tomorrow, the second day of 2020, if I check this autofill date, this day will be updated automatically. So right now, if I press the autofill checkbox, it's going to this today. Right now is 11th of 2019, the third month of 2019. But because I want to explain that in the future, so I uncheck this autofill date, and right now it's upon on you to enter the date of each day. So it's first day of 2020, and we want to go to the Paris together. We will be on road on this date. I want to pay, so I have to say who pay the ticket amount. For example, $150 is we pay for a ticket, and we buy the, for example, airplane tickets, and this is the cost reason is the transportation cost, and here it shows that what we plan to do this day. For example, going to airline, go to hotel, go to Eiffel Tower, and so on. So the first thing I can use these previously say things to do here in this form. So in this state, we plan to do these things, and we actually doing this one. For example, we buy the airplane tickets, we can submit this one. If you notice, there is some data here as well, the total actual cost until now in this travel. So we start this travel, and right now it's 0 amount, and total today actual cost. Right now we do not spend anything. If I submit that, it will be added here, and we plan to spend $3,100 in this day. So if I submit this button, we can see that right now we spend $150 until this travel is started, and $150 in this day. So for example, we arrive to the Paris. For example, we want to go to the airplane, so we get the taxi to the airplane. So it's a transportation cost. It costs us, for example, $30, and I will submit that as well. So these data will be go and save it in the actual data of plan. These are some random, so getting some report to showing to you, but this one is the actual thing that I write that. This is my type of writing. And so these data will be added here. These are my plan data. After you finalize the plan, those plans are saved in this table. So these two tables are where are the real data will be saved there. So I go back to actual cost form. So I go to airplane, I bought the ticket. Right now we can assume we are arrived to the, for example, Paris. So I want to go get the taxi to hotel. So I pay, for example, $50 to the taxi driver to accompany us to the hotel. I submit that cost, And for example, right now I say that, oh, it's not $40. I need to say it's $45 actually. So I need to update this data. If I press this button, the last data inserted into the actual data table will be updated. So this data is updated from $40 to the $45. So, and in actual cost, for example, we want to go April and we do that, for example, in the next day, let's see, if I close this Excel file in the night of the first day of 2019 and I open this Excel file in the second day of 2020, I check this autofill. This date will be updated automatically. But right now, I have to imagine that this is the second day of my travel. I'm at the Paris. I want to go to museum. For example, I have to get a taxi to go to the museum. And this is a transportation cost. Who paid that? For example, Arash paid that. For example, Yasaman paid that. Yasaman, the speed that we say that you are our ghost, she came and said, I want to pay the taxi. So she paid the taxi. If I submit that, the total cost of today is 45 right now, and the total cost of this travel is 250. So it's the total summation, and it's just the summation of this day cost. And this is what we plan to expend this day. So after we go to the museum, we want to buy the ticket. So this is the entertainment cost. We buy museum ticket, and for example, it costs us $90, and Arash paid that, and I will submit this as well. So you can go on and submit for all the costs you are paying in each day by using this form until your travel is end. And for example, is right now your travel is end, and you want to see the report how much your expenses are when you travel and who paid, how much each person paid for this travel, and so on. So you can go to the travel report and use the update button here. When you go into this travel report, you can see some data previously added. These data automatically will be updated based on the this travel code. You can choose previous previous travels as well. By default, this will be the last travel you want to update this last one. So press the update button. After you press the update button, these reports will be updated. And in this report, you can see, for example, how much each person paid. It's 225. For example, Armin paid $90, Arash paid, and $45 Yasaman paid. And how much he overpaid. For example, right now Armin paid $45 more than he should be paid, and Arash paid minus $90. It means that Arash paid less than the schedule. So Arash and Yasaman paid $45, and she paid more than she should. So Arash right now needs to repay to Armin and Yasaman, each of them $45. So by this manner, I can calculate how much who should pay to whom. And the above table shows you how much you spend for each of these reasons, and how much is your total cost of this travel, and how much you plan to spend in this travel for each of this category and in the total. And it shows you how much cost is in each day for its average per day cost, how much you actually pay in each day on average, and how much you plan to pay on average in each day. In the next sheet, you can see some charts from your total travels. So right now this one is our last travel. Compared to the previous travel, it's pay less than others, and it's the average cost per day. Actually, for example, going to New York has much more cost per day, so it can be a good index for comparing our travels and comparing actual cities. And this one, and the second one is it's a comparison of total cost and total we plan to spend on each travels. And the last chart is the comparison of days. For example, we plan to stay 51 days in the last travel, and we be there for 51 days as well. For example, in some travels we plan to stay for 1 week, but when we go there we change our mind and we say that, oh, I wanted to stay for 1 month there. So this chart can be used how much we are actually doing well for estimating the cost and the days. And this little one, this little pie chart will show you how much in total you spend in each categories. There is another categories when you actually it's other categories. I will explain it in a short, but in this chart you can see, for example, most of our costs in the travels, 33% of them are the food costs. So we spend much of our we spend much in the foods and in the eating in travels. So there is something named that other in the categories. We do not have this other in the planning. So when you want to plan in the days detail, we do not have any other category for cost. But in the actual travel, when you're traveling there, for example, someone gets sick and want to see doctor. So this is not entertainment, this is not food, this is not shopping and so on. This is other, this is the risk of travel. This is something that you cannot plan to get sick, for example, in the travel. So this is other cost for if you pay the doctor to see, for example, pay to doctor or something like that, or going to hospital, for example. So this is something that you cannot actually plan for that, and it's but you pay for that, it's going to the other category. So this is how you can plan and manage your travel time and cost. This is there is two other sheets that I want to explain to you. The basic data is the sheet that you can change the method of traveling, and in the column C you can change the categories of your cost. But you have to remember, if you change these categories, you need to change these categories by yourself as well. So when you change in those, please remember to change all these category in all this Excel file. It's one here and one is here as well. So you can need to change these. You need to, when you change that column, you need to change days details. You need to change summarized plan, and in the travel report you need to change these one as well. So in the basic data there is another table. This is a table of summation of cost in each travels. For example, I have these travels until now, and each of them expenses are will be saved in here. So this is the total cost of the total travels database. We have a button in the first sheet. We can get a backup from this Excel file from just the main data. So if I press the backup button, I have to choose a folder for getting backup, and after that I need to specify the name of my backup, for example 2. After I press the button, I can see it get my backup. If I my desktop here, this is my backup. If I press on that, I can see all the raw data of my plan will be saved here. So for example, in the time when I lost this data, I can come here and copy paste this to the main Excel, or I can get a backup from my main Excel and remove all old data from the Excel if it gets too much data on it. And you can remove all these data by pressing this button. So if you press this button, all the data here and in the actual data, in the plan data and the basic data will be removed. The last one is a pivot table sheet that I use it for creating this travel plan. So you do not need this pivot table. I just hide that. If you want to edit that, you can unhide this tab as well. So let's see we remove this. It asks you, are you sure to remove? If I say yes, all the data will be removed and it's fresh to adding the new data on it. So you can use this fresh Excel file to start your travels, to start to plan your travels. First defining these basic data, afterward defining these details, and afterward summarize your plan, and after that submit and save all your actual costs when you're traveling. And after you get back to the to your home, you can create this travel report by your own. So I hope this Excel file helped you a lot. I wish you luck and goodbye. If you find out that this video is useful for you, please subscribe into our YouTube channel and like our videos, and see our website yaku.co.uk and see our products as well. Thanks a lot and goodbye.